Previously on
FYWFWC.
The ones who F with comics began their intense discussion on Young Justice. No character study is too tricky for these heroes. There is Aqualad, the strong, silent leader who goes back to his Atlantean roots in search for the Bae who got away.
Would he go back to where his girlfriend was and his best friend?
She ain't going no more.
No, Mr. Steal Your Girl.
There is Robin, one of them anyways.
Literally opens his closet. Is like, am I feeling a little Tim today?
We also
The tantalizing sidekick who seduces all of the Legend of Korra fanfiction writers. Did we mention that it got over 40k hits?
My Legend of Korra fanfiction has gotten 40k hits.
And lastly, Superboy, the gay love child alien baby who is totally not an alien, but totally a babe. Will the team manage to stay on track and finish their discussion? Or will they get off track like the fanfiction loving trash that they are? Stay tuned and find out!
Fuck
yeah, we fucking got it!
Oh, it was beautiful.
So with that, we kind of found ourselves working our way around the table. So, dearest Alex Nava,
Yes.
why don't you tell me your thoughts on Wally West?
Wally West. How do I even begin, man?
He's my favorite character on the show.
We're talking
to be
about Wally
honest.
West. If anyone wants to say
It's
something, hop
funny.
in.
It's funny because I am very much a Barry Allen man. I am very much a Barry Allen forensic scientist. He is my Flash. But the thing is that like watching the series really rekindled my interest in Wally West. And actually, I've gone back and looked at more stuff about him in the past. And he's been gone for so long. In the comics continuity, he was recently, as of like the past. I look at my watch like as if it's going to determine the time. In the past couple months with the DC Rebirth, he was brought back to life through Speed Force bullshit, which is amazing. And he looks great. He has super awesome silver lightning. He has like a costume akin to his Kid Flash.
That's awesome.
But he is just this really interesting character, and especially in the season, we see him grow from this little prankster, like
He's
very
childish.
awkward teenager.
kind of
Souvenir.
awkward, yeah.
I love
Souvenir.
him.
Souvenir.
Like I would say he's probably like the most awkward teenager of all of them.
And
Because like even Robin, who's like the youngest, he doesn't act like an awkward teenager.
No, he doesn't. Wally's the closest thing to
Yeah.
like a normal. Well, he
Yes.
does go to. I mean, the rest. Connor and McGann go to normal high school, but Wally like doesn't go to high school with any of the friends that he has on Young
No,
Justice.
yeah,
Yes.
Wally just goes to a high school.
Like,
he goes
he
to
just
Central
goes-
High or something like
No,
that.
to
but
a
like
high
he
school.
also awkwardly like flirts with people randomly, and
It's
like
so kiddish.
so
He's
funny.
the one that he doesn't. He's unaware of the fact that the girls aren't into him, but he thinks that they are. So like it came to the point with McGann. He's like calls her babe and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and she's just kind of like, oh well, you scamp. And then he has
Basically.
and they say I'm gonna go have sex with my awesome Kryptonian half human guy right
Who
now.
can pound me halfway through the earth?
Thankfully, I can mold my parts.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who's
She's a shapeshifter.
let's
If anyone
face
can
it-
take it, it'd be her.
They did a cosplay of Black Canary and
I can be whatever you want me to be.
One little, that little quick interjection. I laughed so hard when I saw that
That was
because
so funny.
the episode starts with Connor and Black Canary sparring, and then Dinah walks up to him and starts planning a hardcore make it on him, and it cuts to the theme song. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, that's where it cuts.
And you literally stand up and you say what? And then they show within the next minute that it was just McGann shapeshifting into Black Canary,
So
which
good.
I and Ollie thought was hilarious. Cause,
Yeah, Ollie was like so entertained. I was like, you totally are into this. I was like, you would fucking
He straight
go
up
for
starts
this.
he guffaws, and,
Yeah.
and Canary is so upset by this, and so
Yeah, that was interesting. It was really
I'm surprised they put that in a child's show.
because of the fan fiction trash we all are.
I will say that one of my favorite things probably about Wally as a character is that
back to kid.
Yeah, but
overall I think he's the human on the team.
He's the perfect comedic relief
Even though he's
True.
not the actual like human by any sort of standard,
Yeah.
he's the human of the team.
Right.
Which I
The one who's closest to God is actually the most human person.
kinda
The
yeah.
one imbued with the speed force.
Yeah, and that's something I find so interesting about him because I mean, for anyone who knows about the Flash and the Speed Force and all that nonsense, I mean, he's kind of ridiculous.
Accurately described as nonsense, yes.
But another thing I love about his character is that he has the standard to live up to, again, because he's not as fast as the Flash. And
He never will be.
mentions that.
He thinks.
He thinks.
Yeah.
Like, he's so down on himself that I feel like it hurts his own Speed Force.
Which is, again, going back to he's the most human, where he's the one, I feel like he has the most, like, teenage actual insecurity to deal with, where it's just like, I'm not good enough because I'm just a kid.
So to go with that kind of idea in terms of giving Wally a little bit more credit in terms of like the I'm a kid, I'm a teenager kind of thing. I think that there are a lot of adult traits in him, or actually at least one adult trait that I feel like I appreciate the character so much. And we talked about it earlier, but he has two selves. Not literally, but the way that he portrays himself is that when he's talking to the team, he's this flirtatious, rambunctious character.
Comedic relief.
The scamp.
He's the class clown.
He's the class clown because he loves seeing people laugh. But there are some episodes where he's on his own.
Yeah.
And you get to see a mask fade.
Yes.
And he is this person who is dealing with all of these very complex ideas. He's a brilliant person. That he thinks so philosophically, he's so intelligent, he's so nurturing, he's so compassionate. He'll never say that.
Yeah.
He'll never say that to
You
someone
forget
else.
that he is as smart as he is because he's always the jokester.
And he's the one who recreated the way he got his powers is he recreated the entire experiment that gave Barry his powers.
And he's only 15.
Maybe just a little bit, but it's like that goes to show that he is worthy of the mantle of Flash. And it's like he especially in that Cold Hearted episode where
Let's talk about that episode.
Yeah, so in the episode of Cold Hearted, he is there's a big team Justice League
mission.
Young Justice mission that's like, he's so excited for this. It's the Justice League team up that he's been dreaming of. And they essentially, for lack of a better term, make him an errand boy.
Yeah.
He has to run cross country to deliver it's a heart, right?
It's a heart transplant.
Right, and he has to deliver it to the heiress to the throne of
Microlasia.
It's a made up country.
It's something like that. Yeah.
And so he actually has to deal with the fact that he has to run this fast at this time to get there so quickly, and he actually goes up against Vandal Savage. Of all people,
who's one of the heavy hitters,
one of the
DC universe.
baddest of the big bads, and he has to get through that, and then eventually get the heart to the right owner, and then they trick him, and there's so much mental exposure that we get to Wally that we don't get.
Yeah.
So basically, when he gets there, he's told that he's failed. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, buddy, you're 5 minutes late. She died, and he's like, if I wouldn't have fought Savage. If I didn't have
wasted the time,
wasted the time. He's like, my pride killed this person.
Yeah, not only that, when he finds out it's a little girl, that it's just that grain of salt that he just didn't need on that wound. And it's just he stops for a moment, and then all of a sudden he kind of collects himself, and then he sees something, and then he sees the doctors come out maybe 2 minutes later.
They run out and they said, "Do you have it?" Yeah,
and he's
like, "What are you talking about?"
And then all of a sudden, he's like, "I gotta make this right." And
then sees the guy that told him originally in the elevator, giving him that kind of evil look, and he speeds to the elevator, doesn't make it. And gets into the parking garage, and we find out that this is all orchestrated by Count Vertigo, who is trying to steal the monarchy that this girl will leave behind when she dies.
Of Microlasia.
He's trying to Mufasa.
He's literally trying to
Scar, essentially.
He's trying to scar her.
Yeah, and so
not Mufasa, her.
Wally geniusly is able to work his way around all of this, and him and this little girl end up tricking Count Vertigo into admitting his plan of what he literally states regicide.
And again, there's the theme of underestimating the little girl, because she was able to do it. I mean...
And so was Wally.
She strips him of his diplomatic immunity and all that.
Wally was able to compose himself after dealing with one of the biggest heavy hitters in the DC universe, after failing, after dealing with another heavy hitter in that of Count Vertigo, and getting fucked up in that fight.
Yeah.
And
he
then
literally goes through, Vertigo's sending the waves at him, and he literally... fights past that.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's freaking awesome.
I think he's a shining example of willpower.
Yes.
And he's not really cracking jokes in that episode.
No, and there's so much strength.
The little girl. I'm so sorry, but the little girl offers him the sword, the family sword or whatever. And she's like, maybe you can have it as a souvenir. And we all oh haha, because why? But then it cuts to the cave, and he's in there, and he doesn't have the sword. He has the container that held the heart.
And he grew 3 times that.
Yeah. He figured that it would be, and I watched this last night, so it's fresh in my head. And he says, the sword is nice and all, but I think this is a better reminder of the mission. And he's like, because the sword is great, but nothing compared to seeing that little girl smile.
I want to just tag on one more thing to Wally, because I think we need to get to Artemis next, and I think this will actually help tie into Artemis because sports things.
Because they fucking.
Well, that's it. No, but I think another interesting thing that's about Wally that I think can really be applied to Artemis as well is this idea of being a teenager at this very formative age and having this pressure to be this like sports superstar in a way. And I think that's something that's interesting that doesn't get talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. It's the pressures that get put on you from, parents or what have you, guardians, however, to live out these expectations that they wanted for themselves, and so now they're supplanting them onto you. Yes. So it's the whole, if I was 5 minutes faster, if I was the actual Flash, I could have been there on time kind of thing. And I think that's something that's also very interesting about his character in general, is that you constantly get this sports, you have to be the best pressure for him.
I think it exists in Superboy as well.
Yes, and I definitely agree.
Strong as Superman.
I definitely agree. Yes. And I think it's also something that's in Artemis as well, which is why I think it was important to bring up, and it's a good segue into her, because, she doesn't just have to deal with, oh yeah, I'm the sidekick to the Green Arrow. She has to contend with the fact that I'm not even the first pick of sidekick.
And on top of that, her legacy is such an issue that she has to carry on her back. Sportsmaster as her dad, and then
Huntress as her mom,
and they both weren't present.
Her sister.
And her sister.
What's her sister?
Cheshire.
Almost said Black
So
Cat,
her entire family's evil. She's bred to be evil, but somehow her heart's so pure it prevails.
Thankfully, her mother, after dealing with her paralyzation and her time in prison, was able to be the one who was like, hey, I don't want you to do this.
I need to steer you in the correct path.
Yeah. Yes.
One of my favorite things about Artemis just overall is you get this very interesting diatribe, I feel, of the nature versus nurture.
Yes.
Where it's her intrinsic nature should be evil because she was nurtured more or less by these villains and these people who are terrible people.
Dad totally walked out on her.
Yeah.
Totally.
But
her sister.
Her natural nature, though, is the thing that prevails for her because she is a good person at the end of the day, and she wants to be a good person.
I'm so glad you said that because that's so spot on.
And that was one of my favorite things about her as a character, and just getting to experience her character through the episodes that were specific to her and things like that, and seeing the utter family dysfunction she has. Because obviously you get it. The
most broken home.
You get it with all of these people because they have that to a certain extent, but her home is whereas Wally's the actual honest-to-God human and the honest-to-God teenager, I feel like. Yeah. She's the honest-to-God, I know what it's like to be broken because I have gone through being in a broken family and I've gone through being in a broken home.
Of all of that, she has the pressure from the team because no one trusts her when she comes in.
Yeah.
Speedy's all on her ass, and she's literally, go away.
She has such a strong willpower that she's able to combat all of that. Her legacy, the team not trusting her, everything. It's just... I love her character.
Another thing that I don't give her enough credit for, she's one of 2 members of the team that isn't super.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Everyone else has superhuman ability.
She is a girl with a bow and arrow.
She's a girl.
And they go into it in that episode where they all the superpowered kids are subdued by the tornado twins.
Oh, and then Robin and Artemis have to work together.
She ends up having 1 arrow in her quiver at the end of it, and it's such a good episode that it's showing you that yes, we have these superpowered people, but check these kids out. They can do the same shit.
But at the end of the day, it's the willpower of the character that's the ultimate resource that they can tap to.
Another thing, one of my favorite things about her is this prevailing concept that I feel like she has, where it's, I am better than the circumstances I was given.
Yes.
That's a wonderful way of phrasing it.
And I appreciate her character so much for that because there's so many people who can empathize with that and really get behind that because there's so many kids who've grown up in a situation like that where they have a home that's in chaos all the time and they have to somehow figure it out and make their life better because no one's going to help them, unfortunately.
That's the American school system.
But really. And it's just something that I didn't really think she would be a character I would empathize with as much as I ended up having. But the more I actually got to know her character in particular, she honestly became almost my second favorite character because I was just I can empathize with you so strongly because I've experienced a lot of similar quantities that you've experienced. So I feel you.
Yeah.
And it's just something so interesting about her character is that, again, the whole, I'm the only not super on the team.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I also think it's important to talk about the fact that we want to talk about living people's shadow. She doesn't just have to live in the shadow of the Green Arrow. She has to live in the shadow of her mechanical older brother, which is Speedy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, talk about having to...
And her sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
and her father and her mother.
On the good and bad side, she has these peers, her sister and Speedy, and she can't live up to either of them.
Yes.
They fuck. The sister and Speedy.
Whoa! But yeah, I just think that's something that I find so fascinating about her, and that I really love about her as a character is that she is having to constantly go through reinvention of herself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's constantly having to try to fit into all these scenarios that she's put into, and constantly realizing, no, fuck that. I don't have to fit into anything. You guys are either going to acknowledge that I'm capable of what I can do, or you're going to get behind me because I'm going to already do the thing because you won't stand behind me.
Yeah, I feel like all the girls on the team always have to prove themselves to the boys, whereas, like, do you guys feel that too? Because I feel like, remember Miss Martian in the beginning?
Yeah.
They, like, when she did the telekinetic, like, connected everybody, they were like, stop it, you're my head. And then after, like, she, like, worked out the plan with the test of Red Tornado, but it wasn't Red Tornado. Like, the men in the show take for granted the girls.
Yes.
They both had to prove themselves.
They both had to prove it. Where the boys
But the guys
never really had to prove themselves on the team.
Well, here's my... Oh, sorry.
No.
My question being, is it that they don't have the credibility because she's from off-planet, and they just happen to both be the girls?
So I think that there's two ways of approaching it.
Yeah.
So there is the gender perspective, which very well is a factor.
Yeah.
But there is another thing is that in episode 1, we're established that Aqualad, Aqualad, Kid Flash, and Robin, they're friends.
Yeah.
They know each other.
And Speedy. They start off at, not even just know each other. It's just like, hey, like they would go grab a pizza afterwards to celebrate kind of thing. So when it's like hey, we're not part of the Justice League. Oh, we're part of this like kind of shitty other secondary team. Okay, I guess. And then they're given Miss Martian. So they're just saying like, okay, well, yeah, but look, she's not our friend. So, but again, I think that there is that factor, which is like, oh yeah, well, girls are innately weaker.
But that's the immaturity too. That's
Exactly.
representation of boys, teenage boys.
Yeah.
But with that,
Yeah.
Megan.
Hello, Megan.
Arguably one of the strongest on the team.
She is the
strongest.
strongest. She's stronger than Martian Manhunter, and he admitted that. Get your shit straight.
Which is saying something, considering that the Martian Manhunter is...
He did.
He did.
The traumatizing episode.
I just don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm like
It's the trauma
asking.
episode.
Martian Manhunter actually acknowledged, and
Yes.
which for me is terrifying because I actually, of the DC, Martian Manhunter is another one of the characters that I really, really adore. So for him to be like, yeah, no, my niece, it's his niece, right? I forget.
Yes.
Claims it's his niece.
Claims
Claims,
is
yeah. My niece is absolutely stronger than I am.
Gotcha.
So let me
horrifying.
clarify a little bit more because we're using the term stronger. But let's specify where she draws her strength from. So at the mission that we were referring to earlier, the mental mission, the mental training episode that went a little too wrong, it was because Martian Manhunter underestimated the capabilities of Megan's telepathy. So her mental her mental capabilities. She was afraid in this dream, and she took over the dream from this character who's standing in the pantheon of the gods of the Justice League. He's like, I lost control because she was scared.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't even her trying to do it.
Yeah.
And in the comics, Martian Manhunter is the only there's like something where he goes, it's an old thing where he goes berserk essentially, and he's like on a rampage, and like it's funny because the literal only person that can stop him is Plastic Man.
Yes.
And so like that goes to show that if she has a stronger telepathic ability than him, then that's really saying something.
So there's a parallel here. It's with Jean Grey and Professor X.
Yes.
That's a very
very
good
apt.
point.
It's the same situation.
You're so right. I never thought about it.
She's absolutely more powerful than Professor X was,
And
especially
Xavier.
when she gets to
He also acknowledges
and he
it too.
acknowledges it.
And that's another thing that I really love about Megan in general is that you get all the insecurities of being a teenage girl and being, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not... Because there's a lot more pressure for teenage girls. It's a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
There's a lot more just on the stakes at all times. So you get that. in addition to that, I'm not from this world, so I don't necessarily understand all of the references and all these other things.
Yeah, Tiffany.
Go ahead.
No, and also, like, she mentions in an episode where her and Connor go to high school for the first time, and she mentions she kind of, like, alludes to it, but she's of the white Martian species, which is, there's racism.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Mars.
The white
on
Martians
Mars.
enslaved the green. Yeah, so that's why
The green enslaved the white.
Do you mean the other way around?
Yeah.
No.
The telepaths enslave.
I thought that's why she's not welcome is because her people enslaved
The white Martians
Oh,
enslaved the green
I didn't know.
Martians,
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
That's why, yeah.
We need
so,
to confirm that, but...
It just seems like they're... How about this? What we do know is that there's racial tension on Mars.
Yes.
Yes,
We
there
know
is
that.
racial
You can
tension on
confirm that.
Mars, because then she talks about, and she kind of hoards into herself, like, you could tell, like, that stung her, because she might have been a victim of racism at that point, and therefore, like, in the episode... What was the episode called again?
For where she did
Image?
Image, yes.
Image, where they meet future Beast Boy for the first time. Like, there's so much.
I loved that.
Like, the whole team finds out that she's imitating
A character
a
from
character
a sitcom.
from a sitcom
Yeah.
that was
Gar's mom.
that's Gar's mom from the 80s.
So once again, to clarify just a little bit more, in terms of the typical Martian demeanor, the way that they look is that they are green people. They look like green people, but she has a human mode. When she goes undercover, she has a guise and she has a name. She goes by Megan, and so the character that you're referencing on the TV show that she used to watch, she decided, you know what, my look is going to be that.
She thought that's what Earthians are.
Yeah.
I want to be that. That was her image of what a human would be. And she even says, like, she mentions in that episode specifically, like, this is who I am. When she's talking to, is it Simon?
Yeah.
That gets in her head?
Yeah.
It's Simon. And she's like, no, this is who I, like, she's so adamant about saying, no, I am one of them. Otherwise, they're going to ostracize me. And then he, like, totally fucks her up.
And that's another thing that I love is that that's the first episode where you get to see, like, what she actually looks
is,
like
yeah.
and what she actually is.
It's terrifying.
She's just like...
She looks like a monster.
She looks
Yeah.
like a monstrosity.
White Martians are terrifying.
She looks like an absolute monstrosity. And it's something, like, not necessarily Lovecraftian, but I think it's definitely getting
Yeah,
to
it
that
is.
It's comparable.
frame of reference.
It's deep
And-
one level.
Yeah, exactly. And what I find so interesting about that is that you get the pressures of she's, emulated all these things about being what a teenage girl is to be. And so she's taken on all of those kinds of pressures. And then on top of that, she has to realize people are already going to look at me weird because I'm out of centuries, like way, way back. Like I'm like a century behind everyone else, basically, because of what I emulated is something that got to me late.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, you also have the fear of, oh God, I hope no one finds out. Yeah. Which is something that I think is really interesting. And I mean, this might be a jump, but I think it's something that's interesting because it almost can harken to people who are trans and things like that, where it's this fear of what if somebody finds out?
Yes.
How do I
And it's
explain this?
self-identity.
And that's the thing, because it's she has to make this person for herself, and I think that's something that's very interesting that you can convey that way, and it goes back to the Aqualad thing where it's you can display this kind of thing without inadvertently actually just saying this is what this thing is. But I think that is something interesting about her character that you could actually make that sort of connection with.
No, yeah. That's such
Because-
It's a really good
that's a really
connection.
great point, and
Yeah.
it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how this show is able to teach social things to kids. This is kind of that whole idea of like teenage girls or just girls in general. Women have so much that they are socially conditioned to do or like to look like or what have you, and that's another way that the show is able to tell kids that it's okay to be who you are. And they can do that, again, without having to say it right in their face. But.
I think it can stretch beyond just girls, though, because like with the
totally.
way that social media is this day, the expectation to I see it with my high school kids right now. Like there's such an expectation for them to act a certain way, to be a certain way, or they will be judged, and that's Miss Martian's character.
And that's the other thing that I really love about her in general is that you have this very, very sensitive girl, both literally emotionally, but also she's a telepath. And if she's not thinking about it, she can just enter people's minds
to see what they're thinking about.
But it can even be unintentional.
And that's the thing. If she's we've been showcased one example where she's afraid and she's able to just do something that's terrifying implications. if she was ever to actually be, actively bullied or anything like that, if this was a person who she had crash landed on Earth in a Superman scenario and she'd been raised by humans, could you imagine the repercussions of that? No. She'd have all these psychological traumas and she'd be having no control over anything. And I just think that's something that's very interesting about her character, is that she's the powerhouse of the team.
Yeah.
And she's constantly dialing it back.
Do you want to say something?
It's also like, I'm making a lot of cross references, but that's also like in Harry Potter when he can't control the magic. Like when he has those-
Totally.
So when he gets like upset, like
Oh,
things
in the
happen.
beginning.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I was like thinking, I'm like, what part are you talking about? And I like completely forget the
when the
beginning.
snake says thanks.
Thanks for noticing.
No, but like one of my favorite parts from Miss Martian is like when the team somewhat finds out what she looks like, when she doesn't show them like fully, but they're like, you know what, just tell the truth, we love you either way. And then it's just like, Connor knew the whole time. Breaks my heart.
And they're like, that's it? Like,
You're bald?
Like, yeah, it's like, we love you. Like, why would we care?
So,
yeah, there's a part, and it's towards the end before they all
the first Simon
confront.
episode.
Yeah, it's towards the end.
Yeah.
Like,
Played by Alan Tudyk from Firefly, by the way.
so it's like she actually shows her full form, because they're all confessing like, oh, she's like, Queen Bee is blackmailing me for who I am, and then she changes, and then everybody like kind of like, you if you see that, you kind of have a
now
reaction.
I remember the episode. I remember the episode now.
And then Connor comes up there, he's like, I've known, and he like takes her like white Martian hand, and I'm like,
he takes her freakish monster
He's like, I'm kind of into it.
He's like, so
I
like,
love
can
you.
we still smash it?
So
So this is a really good segue.
this is a wonderful segue.
Wonderful segue.
Because, ladies, I think it's time.
Is it time, Tiffany?
Shit of the week!
The OTP is real.
First ship of the week. It has to be McGann and Connor.
And Connor.
That
Ultimate
scene
fanfic
alone
couple
will be
I
just...
shipped it so hard.
Because to reference what I was talking about before, is that the first encounter that McGann had with Simon, it's her first one-on-one with a telepath. Mm-hmm. Someone who uses your inner demons against you. And the reason why she was able to win the day was because she basically brought in an astral projection of Superboy, and they worked together and they fought. And that's when he first discovered her white Martian mode. Like, he's like, I saw you. Like, you didn't see everything that I saw, but like, we saw each other, and that's why they fell in love with one another. Is because they were able to, like, basically, like, see each other's souls in quotation marks. But it's like Avatar, the cat people Avatar, where you like touch ponytails and then just
God.
You know what's fucked up about that is the same way they have sex is the same way they ride their horses.
It's true. So what are they doing to the horses?
Same.
I don't ship them and horse.
I feel it's important that we move on to another ship.
Another ship, Kohlton?
Yes.
Can we handle more than one ship?
This port's pretty small.
This better be the right ship.
We're gonna have to.
Okay, well, ship of the week.
The OTP is real. Ship of the week, part 2, Wally and Artemis.
Yes, Wally and Artemis.
Which is my OTP in the show.
They're so good
so
together.
good, because they didn't want to be it. I'm like, you're gonna fucking
Because
be.
they were the humans in the show. They wanted to...
Well, I also love it because, like, the two of them, they deal with very similar circumstances where they have to deal with these surmounting pressures that are placed upon them because they're never quite what everyone expects them to be. And I think that's something that really helps bring them together. They're two very, very different characters. They're very, very different people. Just as people, they're very, very different. But something I love about the two of them together as a unit is that they can help to balance each other out, because she can play on that kind of competitive nature that he has and make it so it's doing what he normally does for other people, which is making it lighter and making it something that's manageable that he can deal with.
Well, I think what a lovely thing about that is that most people hit him with Nala's classification of, "Oh, you scamp." But Artemis is like, "You're stupid. Like, why are you making?" Like, she actually challenges him, and he's like, "Hey, why aren't you just giving me the validation?" And I'm like, or you're making me a better. You're seeing past my mask, aren't you?
Yes.
He's one of the first people too that actually said that he believed in her.
Yeah. And they you
After
just
being
see
one
how
of the
much.
ones riding her dick so hard,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Well, you see how much they care about each
But she
other
rides
throughout the
his.
show, but
Damn
there's
right.
still that immaturity that Wally has, where he's like, "Oh, no way."
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, in terms of let's see if there's anything else. Oh,
I want to throw a curveball really quick.
okay.
We all know that
Do it.
the ultimate OTP that will go down in the comics
Do it.
history.
do it.
Dick Grayson and you guessed it, folks, Zatanna.
Sorry, guys.
Jesus.
No!
Okay.
No! I won't have this!
All right,
She's
everyone.
actively getting out of her chair.
Ride your ships. Now's the time.
Lex Luthor, gay
Lex
baby
Luthor and
with
Superman.
Yes, Lex Luthor and Superman because gay brought babies in the West.
Sphere and Wolf. We're all thinking it.
Wolf and Beast Boy.
Speedy and Cheshire, because they have
Yeah.
lasers.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
they
absolutely.
They fucked.
You know what?
And they made a lot.
Jay
But-
Garrick and his wife, Barry Allen,
Yeah.
Iris West. I
Yeah.
almost said Isis West. Barry Allen, Iris West.
And that's
Black
so incredible
Canary
plug.
and Green Arrow.
Yeah.
The producer's
Ooh,
giving me
yeah.
like the no-goes. So.
What I love about this game is that you can kind of just the show rather is that you can kind of just throw darts at names
Yeah.
on a dartboard,
Yeah.
and it's just
We
like
forgot
it'll work.
Robin and Wally. Or Dick and Wally.
I also
Did you say
really,
Dick in Wally?
I also
I
really
like it
ship
like that.
Aqualad and Superboy because
Strong silent.
spicy.
Spicy meatball.
We got them all, folks.
But with that, is it so?
What? Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't. Literally, like you said, like let's just put all the faces on the board and
It works.
throw darts. It works.
It kind of
Just
does.
not
Black
Zatanna
Canary and Superboy? Come on.
No, it's Zatanna and Dick.
No, they don't work
Zatanna
at all.
and Dick.
She's
Zatanna and Dick.
she's not
Zatanna and
his
Dick.
type.
Okay, and on that note,
So with
Zatanna-
that, that is FYWFWC Young Justice Edition. You know what? We should probably talk about what our next episode is going
What?
to be about.
Tiffany, what's the recommendation of the week?
Our recommendation of the week is me not crying like a little bitch. Wait, pause it. Somebody bring up that Wham song.
Our recommendation for the week is Spider-Gwen. Sounds sticky.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about Spider-Gwen. So Alex, if you can do us a favor.
So for those who actually have a physical copy, it's going to be the trade number 0. And those who are using other nefarious purposes to look up these comics,
which we totally don't endorse or support in any way, shape, or form.
Rapscallion.
go to your local comic
Read
store.
comics online.
Go to your local comic store, look at their back issues, and see what you can find. But for next week, we're going to be reading as a group Spider-Gwen, which is going to be the first issue is going to be Edge of Spider-Verse number 2, and then Spider-Gwen 2015, I believe. It's the most wanted, so it's going to be issues 1 through 5.
Yep. It's a fun read. Some of us have more elevated emotions towards it than
Piece
others.
of shit.
Stay tuned to find out why she thought it was a piece of shit.
All right, bye guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye, we fuck with comics.
You fucked with comics. You're damn right.